Welcome to the Pigskin Party Podcast, the only podcast that combines real NFL analysis with a splash of pop culture and a dash of the random. Let's get this Pigskin Party started with your hosts, Brian McFadden, Will Southard, and Tommy Yu.
Welcome everybody back to the PPP. It is time for the flavor of the week. My name is Brian. Please don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening or watching and tell those friends so we can grow this Pigskin Party. Joining me as always, I'm going to start with Tommy on this one.
No.
Tommy, you
No.
just got done with the main NFL episode. Oh, no, you will wait your turn. There is another co-host.
I
You
am
will learn
number
to wait
two.
your turn. I knew that would throw him off, so I'm going to keep going. Tommy, how you feeling, dude?
You know, I wanted to shine a light to this in the last podcast, but it is so dope that the drop has my name on it. This is like super official. You can't kick me off now, so you're stuck with me.
Legit.
That's
Legit.
super dope.
Yeah, have you
Oh,
actually
yeah.
paid for that? There's a $49.99 fee for that.
Yeah,
So-
I'm expecting that Venmo request from you guys, being like, hey, so you're on, but we're not paying you. You're paying us.
We
So
do it
makes
around
sense.
tax time, so you'll get like a huge bill around like March next year.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
just,
makes sense.
Keep the tally in your head. All right, Will. We may now go to you because he's so impatient to finally get a co-host. He's like, no, I must talk second. I gotta say, I dig the hat. Is that a squid with crooked eye? I don't just. I'm at a loss for words.
These are my
Is it an
tentacles,
alien?
bro. Yeah, you know what
is
the
it-
crazy thing is about this hat? Is it's so big that, like, I can't even fit it in the entire camera. And I can also use it to point at people.
It is a
That's
point.
what
I
she
like
said.
that.
Nailed it.
Like
Oh,
Tommy.
but casting
So-
couch has got you.
Yes!
It's my Squidward hat. This is a
There you
good. This
go.
is a good hat. This is a good prize for like a DFS contest weekly winner. And I have so
yeah.
many hats. It's got to be a prize a week. It can't be one the overall year.
Oh yeah, what we do? There's always a winner each week in DFS, and
That's
then
how that works.
overall, that is exactly how that works. It's called logistics. Hashtag I'm smart. All right, so let's just keep on rolling because I took a look at that squid pointy arrow hat and it threw me off. All right, bringing back our guest from the main episode, Nick Davis, aka Zeke Spoon at Spoon of Zeke on Twitter, still sitting on the casting couch. Nick, how you feeling for the flavor of the week, dude?
Ready to get it going.
So there's one thing that I want to mention before we get started. I thought about bringing it on the main episode, but I'm like, no, this works more for the flavor of the week. So this is your second time on the show.
Yes, sir.
The first time we had you on to do a Dallas Cowboys deep dive because your Spoon of Zeke Twitter is Zeke, obviously Zeke Elliott is all about the Dallas Cowboys. So I just assumed that you were a Dallas Cowboys fan. Is that correct at its heart?
No, not exactly. I chose the Cowboys for the Spoon of Zeke profile. It's actually a burner account. Shocker. It's actually bigger than my main, but it started off as a burner. But I chose the Cowboys because I had just left the fandom of Washington. I got sick and tired of Dan Snyder, and when they changed the name, I saw it as a way out. And that year that I created Spoon of Zeke, I actually took a year off from fandom in the NFL. And then recently, I decided that I'm just going to go for the home team. I've actually went to like training camp as a young kid. The first game I ever went to was the Ravens. I actually worked on the telecommunications of the stadium, so I was at the top where they put the fireworks and stuff, and I was hanging off the stadium, looking off into the inner harbor. And they're home. And also, I'm a huge Lamar Jackson defender. I'll defend him until I die. I think he's a great quarterback. So for me, I just wanted to be able to watch him every day for free. I watch every single game. I'm a very good fan. I just had to take a year off because Washington wore me out for the last decade. And I'm done with them. They stink. I don't care what happens. I don't care if Fitzmagic's there. I'm done.
Fair enough. Nobody's going to talk you out of that. There's two reasons I wanted to bring this up. One, obviously, is I was surprised when I think I was messaging you on Twitter. I'm like, I don't even know where it came up. Maybe I saw your main account, and I'm like, wait a second. You're like cheering for the Ravens. Whoa. This threw me off. But there's a second reason. And the guest we had on, the other guest when you were a guest, is now our third co-host, Tommy Yu, who, as an Eagles fan, you guys were already brewing up that rivalry about Dallas versus Philly, only to find out you're not even a Dallas fan. Tommy, thoughts?
Okay, so I was kind of rude, maybe a little bit to Nick, And then afterwards, when I found out I was a Ravens fan, I felt a little bit bad. And then I heard the full story, and I'm validated. I don't care. I don't take anything back. So in my head, I heard he was a Washington fan, and I just go, ugh. And then he got so fed up with him. He's like, screw them. I'm going to go. I quit being a fan. I'm just going to watch as a neutral fan. And then he creates a burner, Spoon of Zeke, Dallas, which is even worse to me. And I'm like, bro, you could have went any other way. I mean, you could have picked the Giants, and that would have been bad too. But like, you could have picked any team, and you picked that one. And so it's just like he was digging his own grave. And then he said he's a Lamar Jackson truther. Then, like, does that balance it out? I don't know, because I love Lamar too. At the end of the day, just kind of knowing Nick, it's really hard not to dislike this guy, and we could all agree with that because he's like the greatest person ever. But I don't know. The back of my head, I'm like, can I fully trust him though? Like he cheered on Washington that long after they were so abusive to his mental health, and then he has Spoon of Zeke handle, and I don't know. I don't know if I could trust him, but hey, I enjoy him here.
There's one thing that is a holdover from my Washington days, and it's actually my hate for Philadelphia. I do not like Philly.
I love you that you said that. So
we can create a
in a weird
here.
way, that makes me respect you even more. So even though you're done with Washington, the fact that you still hate Philly, in a way, I'm like, okay, I kind of like you because of that.
There you go. Now, there was a cue that was missed on by our producer, Anthony. So, Anthony, let's try this again. Tommy is an Eagles fan. There you go.
Birds!
And let's see if you had time in between recording the two episodes to get this one. And Nick, Spoon of Zeke, is a Ravens fan. All right. Nice.
Caw-caw!
That's my favorite sound drop of all times now. That one.
and yeah, that is the perfect time to actually move on with the show. But yes, truth be told, Nick is in fact a Ravens fan, but at least he hates the Eagles. We can still manufacture a rivalry between Nick and Tommy here. All right, moving on. Those of you who have listened to us, or those of you who are new, know that we do not go from all that main NFL talk from our main episode into more NFL talk tangentially with a squid on our heads without cleansing your palate first. So our palate cleanser for this week, first of all, we're going to switch up the palate cleanser slightly going forward. If you happen to listen to the Flavor of the Week last week, where me, Tommy, and Anthony were just kind of ad-libbing and talking and asking each other questions and getting to know each other, you'll find that Tommy doesn't really know pop culture at all. So every palate cleanser going forward, if it's a particular product and not just a general discussion, I'm going to start with Tommy, and I'm going to ask Tommy a simple question. So our palate cleanser this week is the Netflix TV show Shadow and Bone, which was recommended by Will to me, and I have seen it in full, so we'll talk about it. But Tommy, have you seen it? Probably not. And do you even know what Shadow and Bone is?
Not only have I not seen it, I have literally never heard of the show in my life until it showed up on the show doc. So I'm convinced that because this is my first attempt to try to explain what this is, you guys purposely pick something that does not exist. And you're like, okay, this would be a funny way to haze Tommy right now. So no, I have absolutely, like, Shadow and Bone is, I have no idea what that could possibly even be. It could be anything. And I'll be like, oh yeah, that sounds right. You'll be like, oh, it's actually a cooking show. I'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh no, it's a sci-fi show. Oh, that makes sense too. Oh no, it's actually a reality TV show where a bunch of, farmers go out there, blah, blah, blah. I'll be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So I literally have no idea what this is about. I probably upset a lot of people that like this show.
Well, I have always made it a point in the past to make sure whatever guests we're bringing on have seen the palate cleanser topic, because I don't want to talk about it. But now, no. I'm expecting you not to have seen anything. So that's why every time we're going to start with you just to find out how much you do or don't know about Shadow and Bone. So now, as expected, you know absolutely nothing. I was going to go to Will here, but like his squid head is all over the place in the camera. Will, since this was originally your idea, why don't you tell Tommy about Shadow and Bone?
It's a fantasy show where there's a world, right? And
so far, that sounds like every fantasy show.
There's people, there's people that kind of like do magic in the world, but it's not like they're not like wizards. They got like one trick, right? Like one trick ponies. So there's like people that can throw fire. That's your thing, right? You're a fire person. Or people that can like I don't know,
control the wind,
all kinds of stuff, right? That you got like one trick.
Control your heart. Yeah.
But there are like super badass like people that can control like shadow and like death kind of stuff. And anyway, there's this big shadowy rift that is in the world, and it's like civil war and everybody's fighting and all that kind of stuff. And the story is basically like this, you know, typical fantasy narrative of like this poor farmer soldier person going on
it's not that far off. Okay.
There is some
going on a
farming
journey
involved.
to like fulfill their destiny, right? So, but it's pretty cool. Like if you're into you know, like the, I don't know if supernatural is the word, but like, you know, fantasy kind of deal.
Fantasy is the right description.
It's good. It's like, it's not like super PG, but it's definitely not R rated. You'll get mixed up because you'll be watching Netflix and in the beginning of every episode, it's like, beware of nudity. And you're like all happy because like the lead chick is super hot.
Oh, Will sitting there, dude, I cannot wait to see a nipple. This is going to be great.
He was disappointed every time.
Yeah,
there was no nudity in that show at all.
No, there is. It shows a butt one time.
Will's looking through everything frame by frame with a magnifying glass, be like, I'm going to find this nudity.
Wasn't it the guy?
No, it was her butt. It was her
Was
butt.
it?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, why would you question Will on this topic, Brian? Why are you being such a fool right now? How dare you?
He is on the nudity in Shadow and Bone, so you know what, Tommy? You're right. I should not have questioned
It wouldn't be called Shadow and Bone if there wasn't nudity.
Fair enough. Before I give my thoughts on the show, Nick, you're just sitting there with your microphone muted. I'm going to go ahead and assume you have not seen Shadow and Bone?
My schedule is way too busy. I don't even sit and, like, I
He
barely
doesn't have time
watch
for
The
this
Office.
nerd stuff.
Not that. I'm trying to get back into stuff. I recently saw Star Wars, and I'm like 5 years behind everybody. So you just gotta give me a minute. I'll get back to you. You know, I'll definitely have an answer in like 3 years.
I think with Star Wars, you're like 40 years behind everybody.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something. I watched on May 4th though, so that was pretty cool. It's kind of like a symbolic thing. So I was my
It's like
random
an
day
upgraded
off.
version of me.
Yeah, slightly. He just saw it 5 years ago. So it's funny. We've got Nick and Tommy who apparently just. I think Tommy's just like, nah, pop culture what? And Nick's like, I don't have time for that. I'm busy doing cool stuff on Twitter. Meanwhile, me and Will are like, we run a podcast where we literally talk about a new show and movie every week. So we're the nerds. We're diving deep in these shows. So here are my thoughts on Shadow and Bone. I didn't originally intend to watch it, but because Will was so gung-ho about it, and we share our nerd passions, I'm like, yeah, I'll watch it. And that was actually pretty good. And I won't say that about every fantasy show. There's been some, especially on Netflix, that haven't been winners. But yeah, I liked it. It was original. The way they do the shadow and the rift is like this, literally this dangerous, almost border that separates what used to be one country. So there's some politics to it between what has developed on the other side of the rift, since they're no longer able to travel easily between each section. There was some humor, there was action, there was romance. It's
kind of steampunky, which is pretty fun too. It's got that whole like, you know, like cars and locomotives that are driven on steam, but there's kind of like there's magic involved. So I kind of like that, like retro, again, steampunk, old England kind of vibe.
It's not meant to be modern by any means. They have weapons, but there's a flashback that's not too far in the distant past where they're like bow and arrows, or it's not just weapons or like guns. So yeah, it's supposed to be a little more old Western, but with magical powers. I thought it was cool. Highly recommend it.
It's not a show that I saw coming. Like
right.
I was like, if you're tired of shows and you're showed out, and you just want to find like one season of something that's pretty entertaining, it's pretty good. I've had a hard time finding somebody who saw that and wasn't like, that was not worth the watch. You know what I mean?
And Netflix, either today or yesterday, just announced that they have renewed it for season 2, and apparently it got really, really good ratings. So, hey, Tommy, Nick, there's still time. You can jump on the Shadow and Bone train.
Nick's actually waiting for this podcast to be over so he can hop on his bone with that. She just made him dinner, so
nice one, Anthony.
He's getting ready.
I'm waiting for Witcher season 2 to come out. That's
yes!
what I'm excited
there
for.
you go. Okay.
When you have a Witcher,
have we
Witcher
talked
episode,
Witcher
give
on
it
here,
to
Will?
me.
I can't remember.
We haven't, but another topic we need to talk about is video games turning into movies and TV shows.
I played the video game too.
Yeah.
And like why they're always so bad, but then like some of them are not. And like, dude, Witcher was polarizing. I know we're not about to talk about Witcher.
We will. I like the idea for a future episode, Witcher specifically, but also video game adaptations into movies, because I do think there's a lot of content there we can cover. But I think we've said all we can say about Shadow and Bone. Check it out on Netflix. For comparison, I just started Jupiter's Legacy. Too early to decide if it's going to be any good.
They just canceled that, I think.
I know. That was the thing. I'm on like episode 3, and they just canceled it, so there's no more season 2. But already, it's okay, but it's not as good as Shadow and Bone. So highly recommend it. That will be the end of our palate cleanser. Let's go ahead and move on to our flavor of the week topic. This was originally going to be the flavor of the week topic last week, and as I mentioned, we had to call an audible with Will being out of town and Nick unable to come on. So we're going to do it this week, and it's actually even more relevant but for a couple reasons, and that is Aaron Rodgers' destinations. So back in our Super Bowl preview show, well before all the allegations came out, we had Colin Cronin on from the Irish NFL show. And our flavor of the week that week was actually the first flavor of the week we ever did that was not politics. That was back when it wasn't called the flavor of the week. It was just, politics. And we did an NFL episode, and we did Deshaun Watson destinations. And all of us went around giving the team that we thought would make the most sense and reasons why we thought that Deshaun would be a good player. And we decided to do the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. But here's the latest that's come out, because obviously this Aaron Rodgers news isn't new, and it's been around for a while, but especially since the draft when that news dropped that Rodgers didn't want to play for the team anymore. But here's what just came out. So NBC Sports' Peter King, in his weekly Football Morning in America column, proposed a compromise where the Packers agreed to trade Aaron Rodgers after the 2021 season. He called it a, quote, face-saving thing for both sides. It was reported today, so if you're listening to this episode, it's probably Tuesday or Wednesday, which means Packers minicamp has already begun. We're recording it on Monday night. Packers minicamp is due to start tomorrow, Tuesday, June 8th, and it's been reported by multiple sources that Aaron Rodgers will not report. So as much as we've seen some stuff from the Packers say they're not going to trade him no matter what, this thing is still a reality. Peter King brought up an interesting point. So what I wanted to do is do Aaron Rodgers destinations, but do it from the guise of 2022. So let's assume that for whatever reason, either he retires and does Jeopardy for a year and then comes back next year, or the compromise is Peter King suggests that the Packers get him to play for a season and then agree to trade him next year. So they're like, hey, Aaron, come back, play for us. We get it. You don't want to be here. Just play with us one more season. We win the NFC Championship 2 years in a row, and then we promise to trade you next year. So we're going to assume that that's the case. So we're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers' destinations in 2022. So I will start with you on this, Tommy. And I know originally you were going to defend the Packers. You were going to say the Packers as your choice for, basically he should stay home. Well, with this scenario, the Packers have already agreed to trade him. So we took them off. And why don't you go ahead and let us know who your destination is and why?
Yeah, so with this kind of situation that's kind of hypothetical in 2022, it was hard because I had to pivot. I was like, no, in this situation, he will not be staying in Green Bay anymore. And I had to look at the sheet and like, all right, what teams have already been taken? And all the good teams were taken. I was like, it's all right. I can create my own narrative. This is what reporters do when they get bored. They just make things up, and sometimes it takes traction. So maybe after this episode, everyone will be like, hey, maybe this is where he's going to go. So the way I kind of attacked it is I worked backwards. I kind of thought, okay, if I am, because he has to get traded unless they're just going to straight up cut him, which I don't think they'll do. But if he's indeed traded, and I'm thinking as the Packers GM, I'm thinking I'm not trading in the NFC. That's just not happening. I'm not going to be kind of denied for my Super Bowl chances, even though they will have no shot to Super Bowl without Aaron Rodgers. But if their ego is big enough, they're saying, I don't want to be stopped by Aaron Rodgers. So I'm thinking now in the AFC. Originally, before that mindset, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be so funny if Aaron Rodgers went over to Detroit and just completely annihilated the Packers 2 times a year kind of thing, but that will never happen. So I thought over to the AFC and I thought, all right, what AFC team can work? What AFC team hasn't been taken already? And the team that kind of stuck out to me a little bit, which is kind of goofy and funny, is How about the Pittsburgh Steelers? I mean, why not? Let's speak that into existence just a little bit, because everyone memes them saying, hey, they had the killer bees. They had Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, and they couldn't make it to the Super Bowl. And they were all made fun of. And everyone with eyes saw how Big Ben played last year. He pretty much had the ball out of his hands immediately. He didn't throw the ball further than like 4 yards almost ever. Maybe a few times to Claypool down the field, but other than that, he was just kind of a shell of himself, and he was a big boy. He's always been a big boy, but I'm like, that's not an athlete. But Big Ben said he was, so I guess he was. But now fast forward another year, Big Ben, whether it bounces back or not, which is arguable, I guess. If you're Pittsburgh and you still have that elite defense and your window you think is there, and now Aaron Rodgers and in this situation is definitely going to be traded, I mean, why not throw your hat in the ring? Be like, okay, this is awesome. Like, Aaron Rodgers with an actual good defense, we all saw what happened the last time that happened. They won a whole darn Super Bowl. And so do it again over in Pittsburgh, that gritty team that they have. But now we're like, all right, let's air it out, because Pittsburgh loves airing it out ever since they got Mike Tomlin and things like that. Let's do it. Hey, why not? Let's make it happen.
Yeah, I honestly think that's a great pick. I don't really have a lot to object to that. I think it would be very Pittsburgh-like to, once Big Ben does retire after he proves that he did not have anything left in the tank and he has a bad year, that they don't want to start over with a rookie. They haven't, since Ben, they haven't had a good track record drafting and developing quarterback. You think of Duck Hodges, you think of Mason Rudolph, there was another guy, Devlin, I don't remember his name, but they've just drafted multiple quarterbacks and none of them have panned out. So why not get a stud that can just plug right in? They've got weapons. They've got young talent on both sides of the football. Yeah. Will, Nick, any comments on this? I can't really argue with Tommy's logic.
Got nothing.
I mean,
Squidward, you're up.
It would be fun, right, to see Ben in Pittsburgh. I mean, not Ben. Aaron in Pittsburgh. Like,
Nick would hate that as a Ravens fan. That just occurred to me.
I mean, I would hate that as a.
It would stink.
God, God. I mean, like, they're good, even though they suck. Pittsburgh. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and you know what I mean. Like, I said that doesn't make any sense, but it makes perfect sense.
It does. They're just a well-run organization. They're always going to be good, like Baltimore.
Mike Tomlin deserves. I don't know, dude. He deserves something for corralling.
I would
Antonio
take Mike Tomlin
so
over
many
Harbaugh
years,
for sure.
For so many years, but anyway, I mean, I don't know. Claypool is amazing. Just that whole cast, other than their running back situation. But now they got Najee.
Najee.
Yeah.
It would be dirty. The league can't allow that to happen. I just don't think they'll do it from like a Big Ben respect kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, imagine like Ben.
What's respect if he's out? If he's retired, why? These are NFL franchises worth millions and millions of dollars. They're not going to.
No, yeah. If he's out,
get a quarterback.
If he's out, yeah, of course.
Well, that's what we're assuming. We're assuming that Ben is going to retire. He's not. I don't think there's any way he almost retired this year. So I don't think he's going to stay again. I think this is his last season.
I just want to put out that if for somehow in a minuscule way that I am right, and in 2022 Aaron Rodgers is in Pittsburgh and wearing the black and yellow, Anthony, you got to clip it. I'm putting that literally everywhere. I'm going to be like, this is time-stamped. I said it on the 7th of what? What is this? June right now in 2021. This is when I made the announcement. I was the only one. And we're going to go places. This podcast is going to explode, obviously, without that. But if we have that kind of clout behind us, we're on fire.
Tommy will be the prognosticator or prognosticators.
Make a bet.
Oh, no, I am not that confident.
Get that timestamp. Get that timestamp.
That timestamp, right? Be like, all right, maybe I should put money on that. No
what is the
way.
more likely scenario? Aaron Rodgers goes to the Steelers next year, or Gio Bernard scores 2 touchdowns in 2 different games this year?
Oh, definitely Rodgers to the Steelers. Definitely.
No, it's got to be Gio, bro.
I'll bet a silly hat on that.
That's our currency that we use now in this podcast, the silly hats.
All right, I think your logic is very sound, Tommy, and I think there is a non-zero chance that you really could end up being right, and for that alone, our podcast will get propelled to new levels, so thank you for your prediction. Let's go over to Will, who has repositioned his squid hat on top of his headphones, which at least allows for more circulation. I'm sure that makes it a little cooler, which hopefully means you keep the hat on longer, so I'm not going to complain. Will, where is your destination for Aaron Rodgers in 2022?
I had to go with the obvious choice, right? And like, you guys always pick the fun ones. I gotta go with the Broncos. Not only because like everyone is, that's like the chalk. That's the chalk trade destination. And I don't think from a salary cap reason they're not going to do that this year. I don't think they're gonna roll with the Bridgewater and see what they got. But
who apparently OTA Nugget Factor Fiction has developed a great rapport with Jerry Jeudy.
Of course he has. But I mean, dude, Aaron Rodgers in Denver could legit do some damage with Jeudy, with Fant, with Courtland Sutton. I mean,
Hamler.
All they got there, yeah, exactly.
Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams. Jeez.
Are you going to name everybody?
I am.
Did you just name Javonte Williams, who hasn't played a snap in the NFL yet?
That's probably I think he's going to be a great pro.
I
wanted the Dolphins.
Baller.
I wanted the Dolphins to draft him in the second round, and the Denver traded up in front of them to get him.
I know. Denver did everything smart except take Justin Fields, which I think is going to be the biggest, franchise moving mistake. But anyway, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers, dude. I mean, he would do a Manning. He would go to Denver. They would probably win a Super Bowl, and then he'd be out. And I don't know, but I think they're the most likely scenario to trade for the guy because Elway's still there. He's still a factor. They love proven quarterbacks, and he's Aaron Rodgers, dude. He's not downhill. Like, he's not as old as Tom. He just won the MVP. Like, he is amazing. And then, that, a little of that obviously has to go on Devontae Adams. A little of it. But not all of it, for sure.
Well, he's
but
been
you got to
great
go with
since
the
before Devontae was there.
Yeah, he's been slinging it, bro.
I think, yeah. Ever since this news first came out, Denver has always been linked as the top choice. But I'll turn it over to Tommy and Nick. Any thoughts, any objections to Will putting Rodgers with the Broncos?
It's the most logical choice. That's how I see it.
To use a Will-ism, Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock are not the truth.
I didn't say that. I said they're doo-doo biscuits.
Okay, well, they're not the truth, and they're doo-doo biscuits. It kind of
Brian sounded better.
I can't keep track. I can't translate all your Willisms. Point is, neither
Teddy
one
Bridgewater
of them...
is functional. Like, you're not going to get laughed out of the stadium with Teddy Bridgewater. You get laughed out of the stadium with Drew Lock. The dude is absolute garbage.
And on that note, I do think that Bridgewater will start more games than Lock. I think they will both start games.
They should trade for Tyrod Taylor and have Teddy Bridgewater and Tyrod Taylor fight it out to the death.
I don't know. Tyrod Taylor and Mile High with that thinner air, I just feel like he'll find another way to get injured. It'll be like a breathing asthma. I don't know. Poor guy. All right, so yeah, I'm going to completely agree. I don't see Bridgewater or Drew Lock being the answer anything beyond this season. So I think the Broncos will be right back where they started. They have a good defense, so they could win some games. So I don't think they'll be super high to draft a quarterback. So their only real solution is to go after a proven veteran like Aaron Rodgers. All right, Nick, who's your team? Where's your Aaron Rodgers destination for 2022?
This is definitely a desperation shot from the organization. I feel like the two guys that are going to be making a decision are in a room being like, holy crap, we're about halfway through and we have nothing to show for it. I think that he's going to go to the Raiders. I think he is the home run hit that could save Mayock and Gruden's job. They have done absolutely terrible as a pair since they have started. And, like, Clelin Ferrell, like, what did he do? Max Crosby played more than him. Henry Ruggs did absolutely nothing last year. I thought he was going to do something. Aaron Rodgers can make everybody on that offense a lot better. Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, Henry Ruggs.
John Brown.
Brian Edwards is still there. He could definitely do some damage. Josh Jacobs, he'd be better. We'd be seeing like an Aaron Jones kind of renaissance for him, even though Jacobs is still a top running back. I think that if they are in desperate need for a home run hit, they're going to pull the trigger for that and give them what they need, because Aaron Rodgers can do just about anything. I mean, he did it with just Devontae Adams and Robert Tonyan every fourth week. So, we'll see how it goes, but that's my pick for 2022 for Aaron Rodgers.
Can you imagine Robert Tonyan, like, anywhere else? Like, he's nobody, bro. He's going to be nobody, right? The only reason he's anybody is because Aaron Rodgers just made him relevant.
You know who also has that? Rob Gronkowski. The only reason he's somebody is because he has Tom Brady. Like,
oh, nice.
Like,
I gotta go, guys.
Wow. The first person to ever scare Will off the podcast. I love it. Well
How
done.
dare you, sir? How dare you?
You knocked his Squidward hat off. That was how much he was blown away by your comment.
Don't disrespect Gronk.
I like Gronk. But like, you're using that kind of same argument. Like, if someone has a top quarterback, not their fault.
Robert Tonyan is not Robert Gronkowski in any way, shape. Rob Gronkowski is a Hall of Famer, immediate, no ifs, ands, or buts, bro. Yes.
It's Robert Tonyan's first year. Tight ends don't exactly do great their first year. He showed flashes. He is working out with Kittle, who is a workout warrior. I have a lot of hope for Robert Tonyan. I think that he can do well. I'm not saying he's going to be a Hall of Fame tight end, but you got to give him a chance if he has a different quarterback.
You know what? The interesting thing. No. This is the interesting thing.
He's abandoned the Squidward hat at this point.
Here's a counterpoint, though. Here's a counterpoint. When you look at the wide receivers that Aaron Rodgers has, right, and you think about everybody who's not Devontae Adams, right? Like, so let's do the Packers depth chart here real quick, and you look Alan Lazard,
MVP,
Equanimous St. Brown, right? We got Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Devin Funchess. We already talked about DeAndre Tompkins, Amari Rodgers. Like, those guys are pretty good. You know what I mean? Like, when you just think about who they are, but like, for some reason, they don't get any consistency out of those people, other than like Lazard flashes. I don't know if that's because Adams is so dominant and Aaron locks on him, but like, those are young guys that in any given week, would be, I think, pretty good everywhere else, and they just don't really show up, and I wonder why.
I feel like Aaron is like the spigot. Like, he determines who gets the ball. Devontae Adams has his trust more than any of them. Robert Tonyan was getting it, but he, MVS and Alan Lazard, like, I feel like that they're threes. There really was no number two on that team. I don't really like those wide receivers, but Aaron made him into something for those weeks that he felt comfortable with.
I like Lazard. Of those, I really do like Lazard.
As a steady number two receiver, definitely. The other receivers are more kind of like MVS. I think he led the league in yards per reception last year because he would get 2 catches for 66 yards every few.
That's what I'm saying.
You know who also led the league in yards per reception? Ashley Leslie, the guy who was drafted like right when Rod Smith and Ed McCaffrey were like retiring from the Broncos. He had like 20.8 his rookie year, and everybody thought he was going to be great. But yards per catch leading the league in that's not really something that I look at, because you can be an absolute deep threat.
Just means you caught a few bombs. A few bombs here and there.
Well, Henry Ruggs caught that one over the middle, right? Last year.
The Jets.
It was like for 80 yards, and everyone was like, "The truth, there it is!" Right? And then from Henry Ruggs.
I feel like Henry Ruggs is gonna be on like that Deshaun Jackson like 80-yard touchdown for the season, and then his hamstring just is fried for the rest of the year. With those guys with elite speed like that seems to be an issue that keeps coming up. John Ross also had that issue. So
Tyreek does not, which is unique to his ability, right?
And hopefully Jalen Waddle does not. Hopefully he's more in the Tyreek camp.
Yeah, I mean, I say Tyreek Hill's more the exception, not the rule. Like,
of course,
every single
there's
guy.
There's never been another one.
Well, yeah, of course, but like, it just seems like all these guys with top end speed, their hamstrings are just gone after like one deep run. Like Deshaun Jackson, I watched him in Washington for years. and he would have like a great 70-yard pass for a touchdown, and then he'd be out for the rest of the season with a torn hamstring. These guys with top end speed don't have that. But anyway, we're getting off topic.
I gotta tell you something. If I was in the NFL and like I could have that kind of speed, and I caught a ball in the wide open, and I could score a 70-yard touchdown, it'd be the best moment of my life. I would run so wide open, my testicle would literally explode. Like, you imagine the feeling of catching a ball over the middle in the NFL and just seeing green and having like 85,000 people going crazy. I can't. Like, my body would just be like, I'd just die. I would score and die. That's how that would happen.
In high school, I made a game-winning play, and the whole stadium like dogpiled me. That was probably the closest I'll ever get to that. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, exactly. I'm used to that. Sending signals.
That's right.
All right, so let's move on to my destination, which is admittedly the least likely of these, but number one, I didn't want to pick the same one that you guys picked. As a good host, I let you guys choose first. Yeah, the Jags. They're going to get rid of Trevor Lawrence, number one overall pick. And
they're going to sit him.
They're going to sit him to learn behind Rodgers after a year of starting.
Tampa.
Just stop throwing out names. Tampa actually next year. That's not.
Tom Brady's going to play till he's 50. Keep going.
Yeah.
With the crappy tight end Rob Gronkowski, according to Nick.
Yeah.
He stinks.
He stinks, and I don't like him.
So wrong.
All right, so this is the only NFC team as part of this discussion. And once again, I'm not saying this is the most likely, but it's very interesting. It's an intriguing idea, and it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. And that is the New Orleans Saints. So there's a few reasons. One, for 16 years, they had a Hall of Fame quarterback. They're used to that. And who do they have rolling out? We don't even know if it's Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill. But I think we can all. Okay, Will's still. But do you think Taysom Hill is the truth?
No.
No, of course not.
He's doo-doo biscuits.
Regardless, so who's more or less doo-doo biscuits, Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill?
Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
You said less doo-doo biscuits, so Taysom
More
Hill.
or less. I don't know. Who's better? I don't know.
Taysom Hill's better.
Jameis is worse.
Jameis is worse. Okay.
Jameis looks like he's never like picked up film in his life.
So
he just goes out there and slings the ball.
I'm trying to learn your terminology, Will. The bigger doo-doo biscuits is Jameis. Okay, but either way, regardless.
Bigger poop means you're worse.
We can agree that neither of them is the future of the Saints. So this time next year, 2022, New Orleans is going to need another Hall of Fame quarterback. After 1 year, I mean, think about Sean Payton. He's been so used to Breeze. After a whole year of Jameis and Taysom, he's going to be desperate to get another solid quarterback. But here's another thing. Here's another reason I wanted to pick the Saints. I'm going to read, because we talk about do they have the cap space. They've always kind of had weird cap issues, and they had a really tough, they were like, what, negative $90 million over the cap at one point, and then they restructured all their contracts. But here's what they have a reputation of kicking the can down the road when it comes to their contracts. For 2022, so after this season, here are their unrestricted free agents coming up. Starting left tackle Terran Armstead. Starting right tackle Ryan Ramczyk. Starting cornerback Marshawn Lattimore. Starting safety Marcus Williams. Starting defensive end Marcus Davenport. Quarterback Jameis Winston. Quarterback Taysom Hill. Cornerback Patrick Robinson. Defensive back P.J. Williams. Wide receiver Traquan Smith. Running back Ty Montgomery. Dwayne Washington, and then it just gets into other players. Noah Spence,
let them all go. Bring in Aaron
Deontay
Rodgers.
Harris.
Net positive.
I mean, this list just keeps going, and now these players aren't starters anymore. But think that's a lot of.
Maybe they could sign Jake Kumaro.
Let me pitch a scenario to you.
That's all it takes. Get Jake Kumaro there, and then Aaron Rodgers is there.
Jordy Nelson.
What if the Saints just tank for like the next 3-4 years to get Arch Manning?
And
be set for the next 20 years.
Now that's intriguing. Bring him home to Archie's former team.
Is he a what is?
He's a sophomore in high school. He's a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
He's a beast.
But his recruiting from college is like viral level already. There's all sorts of videos of him.
His
like,
stats
out
are crazy.
throwing. Yeah.
You think
wild.
he's going to go pro after his sophomore year?
He's a quarterback. As soon as he can go pro, he will. Like, I think it's going to be worse than like Leonard Fournette. Like, he's a Manning. Like, I feel like they're going to kind of like
You need to wait
around
3
the
years
rules.
from when you graduate, so that's 6 years from now. So 3 years of high school and then 3 years of college, unless they change the rules, and then he can go pro. But yeah,
Bro,
6 years
he-
from now.
I see changes
He
of rules
barely
happening.
has hair on his nuts, and we're already claiming
Doesn't
him
matter.
to be
He can
the
throw a
next
ball
Andrew
60
Luck.
yards.
Apparently
I
he's a
guess.
stud. I mean, he is a Manning. He is Cooper's son, so he is not the son of Eli or Peyton, but he is their nephew. I like it. I mean, can we speculate 6 years in advance that a team
No.
would
Why not?
No,
tank?
no, we
People
that's
do it
the
with
case-
crypto all the time.
If that's the case, then let's.
I'm in crypto, dude. It's perfectly okay.
So am I. We can talk about crypto. Yes,
Did we just become best friends?
we did. So much room for activities.
So Nick
That
and
was a
Tommy
re-
are rivals for obvious reasons, but we found the connection between Nick and Will and their love of crypto. We've done an NFT episode before. I don't think we've ever done an actual crypto episode. Next flavor of the week that Nick's on, we'll do that. But yeah, to
We
continue.
got The Witcher. We got crypto. I'm gonna just be a scheduled guest
It's
all
writing
the time.
itself. The
That's
show
it.
doc is writing itself.
It's writing
I
itself.
feel like if somebody was going to be in crypto, it'd be Tommy, though. Let's be honest.
Is that an Asian?
That sounds racist.
No, he's
That's
just
so
saying,
racist.
due to my very, very acute observations, I'd be good at it. It has nothing to do with race.
Exactly.
How dare you
Exactly.
guys paint that kind of picture on Will? That is disgusting.
Listen,
Cute.
I'm-
Tommy thought Shadow and
Flex your
Bone
man
was
bun.
a farming TV show. I mean, this. I don't put any credibility in what he may or may not know about cryptocurrency.
I know nothing.
I mean-
I literally know nothing.
But here's the other thing, though. From I've not heard great things about the upcoming quarterback class of next year, right?
Yeah, it's not strong. It's definitely not strong right now.
So I mean,
They've got some decent. Okay, they got Rattler. They have Sam Howell. They have a handful of
Rattler's
okay
a joke.
prospects.
That was a
We'll
joke.
see.
that's what you're going with.
All right, but still, that is nothing compared to the class that
Anthony,
we just
clip
had.
that too. So next
And-
year when we talk about the NFL draft, we'll see.
So,
what happens.
so the fun thing is that you actually can't talk about watching film on Arch Manning because he's too young, and if you watch any film containing him, he's probably going to go to jail.
yeah, no, that's 100% true. That's
Wah,
100%. I'll be
wah,
put on a
wah.
list.
You're not allowed to film people that are under 18.
I'll be put on a list for sure.
So
Playing sports.
let's bring it back to the Saints. Here's the bottom line: they're not going to be good enough to contend this year, especially with Jameis and Taysom. But the rest of their team is still solid. They're not going to be bad enough, especially with Sean Payton as head coach, to even finish high enough to get one of these average quarterbacks that at this point that are coming out. So their only play will be to get a solid veteran. If Aaron Rodgers is going to go somewhere, it's the NFC, but it's not the NFC North. I think him on the Saints makes a lot of sense. Not as much as the three teams that you guys named, but if we're putting a fourth one that could be spicy, that's why I picked the New Orleans Saints as
I
my
would love it,
2022
bro.
destination for Aaron Rodgers.
I would love it. Like, I mean, we're going to really waste Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas because that's what we're about to do. Like, let's be honest. Like, Kamara.
I mean, the Giants are wasting Saquon Barkley right now. No one's batting an eye.
No,
Everybody's
Saquon
being
Barkley.
Well,
wasted.
he's wasting himself. He keeps getting injured. I mean, that's not even. That's not
I
even
think
the
I think a
Giants'
future topic for us is Saquon Barkley draft bust ?
fault. I'm down.
As soon as he
mean-
was drafted number 2 overall, I'm from Pennsylvania, and Penn State is literally like 2 hours from me. As soon as he was drafted number 2, I was like, "That's the most Giants thing I have ever seen," and I was so happy. Well, one, I was upset because I couldn't cheer on Barkley anymore, but the fact that they got Saquon at 2, I was like, "This is great." The
but
Giants are just gonna suck forever. This is amazing.
But it's not about that though. It's like look at that guy. Well, I guess we're going to talk about it for a second. Look at that dude's talent. Like where is the it's partially I think the Giants, but it's also like for whatever reason he just can't stay healthy. Dude, he's like
How about this? Next week for Flavor of the Week, and I'll get your thoughts real quick, Nick. Let's do a boom or bust, not just around Saquon, but a number of players. These players that we haven't decided
Jameis
yet.
Winston.
Baker Mayfield, he was up, he was down. But Jameis Winston, I don't think anybody thinks he's anything but a bust. Anyway, let's save that for a topic next week. Nick, what are your thoughts that you were about to say real quick?
One last thing about Saquon. If he continues getting injured, he's going to have the same like mythological lore that Bo Jackson has because no one's denying his talent. But it's his ability to stay healthy, and we're just going to be like, man, like those 3 years Saquon was really good, man. Those were some fun football to watch. I feel like that if he keeps getting injured, he's going to be like that.
Mythos is a good point because everybody still talks about Bo Jackson as though he was the greatest
I got a
running back
jersey
to
of
ever
his.
play the game, but we just didn't get to see it. He injured his hip, and it never materialized. So we can just imagine what he would have been like. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up the show. I like that as a future topic. Let's revisit next week on the Flavor of the Week. Stay tuned, and we'll talk about boom or bust. We'll have a few players. Saquon will be included, and Will can go into further detail.
I feel like we need to not wrap up the show.
I know. Like every time I'm like, you just have to throw in
I
that
feel
comment.
like we should figure out a game and tailgate together as a podcast crew, man. I'm going to be down at
100%.
We're going to be down at the. I'm going to be at the Tampa Bills game down in Tampa.
Do you want to go to Las Vegas? The Dolphins are playing in Vegas next season.
Are you guys going to the Fantasy Football Expo?
No.
Oh.
Where's the fantasy? What's the Fantasy Football Expo?
It's in August. It's in Ohio. It's in Canton, Ohio. And my show is doing it. I'm going with my co-host. We're just gonna meet people in fantasy football world, and hopefully connect with a bunch of people on Twitter. So that would be a cool place. But if you guys ever looking at
the Hall of Fame, I've talked about it on here. Have you ever been, Nick?
I want to go so bad.
I'm
getting the
best,
VIP.
dude. It's the best.
So maybe a future Hall of Fame episode for the Pigskin Party podcast. We will definitely. I love the idea of doing some sort of game, going to a game, recording the show ahead of time. It's on the docket. I just can't wait to go to a football game next year after what COVID did to us. So let's go ahead and wrap it up once again for the second time. I'm sure we'll.
You know what I was thinking though?
There we go. Just shut it. Nick Davis, thank you as always for coming on the show. Make sure to check out @Spoon of Zeke. Get on his NFL follow trains and just follow him because he's a good dude. Thank you to my co-host, Big Willie, with the Squidward hat that is no longer on him after that Rob Gronkowski comment. Tommy Yu, killing it as the new co-host of the PPP.
Man,
Go
Birds!
Birds!
Strong.
Go Birds. We're not at the... Save that for after...
Oh, it doesn't matter. I can say it 100 more times, and it'll
True,
still sound
true.
just
You
as
just-
fresh. Thank you,
you're just gonna
Anthony.
say it. All right, make sure if you're listening, if you're a new listener, please go ahead and subscribe. Tell your friends. Leave us those 5-star reviews. Still batting 1,000. Still in awe that that's happening. I guess the more co-hosts we add, eventually somebody will piss a listener off. Maybe all of our, UK German talk, somebody will leave us a 1-star. Check us out on Twitter at @OfficialPPPod. Please, we're looking to hear from listeners for a variety of reasons. Give us some topic ideas. You want to hear a particular palate cleanser, flavor of the week, write us at pigskinpartypodcast@gmail.com. You can go to our website, pigskinpartypodcast.com. Leave comments on YouTube. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, wherever. Join our Discord community. Look for the link in the episode description. We want to hear from you. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next week on the PPP.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Pigskin Party Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate that effort. We'll catch you in the next Pigskin Party.